All right, let's talk about a story that honestly feels like it was ripped straight out of a movie script. It's got everything: grit, tragedy, and one incredible leap that changed everything. This is the ascension of Showtime, the Keshad Johnson story. So picture this. It's February 14th, 2026. You're inside the Intuit Dome for NBA All-Star Weekend. The slam dunk contest is on. And let's be real, the event needed a jolt of energy. And that night, an undrafted player, a guy who wasn't supposed to be there, did the impossible. And when it was all over, when he'd somehow won the whole thing, he grabbed the mic and said this: "All the kids out there, keep dreaming. Anything can happen." But you have to understand, those simple words carried the weight of an entire lifetime. Because to really get the sheer joy, the relief in that one moment, you have to go back. You have to understand the absolute nightmare that fueled his entire journey to get there. So let's start with the event that put him on everyone's radar. Section 1, the unlikely champion. This is how an underdog shocked the entire basketball world at the 2026 Slam Dunk Contest. And when we say underdog, we really, really mean it. I mean, Johnson was up against these highly touted rookies, guys like Carter Bryant and Jace Richardson, whose dad was a two-time dunk champ himself. But just look at the money. Financially, he was in a completely different universe. His base salary, just under $2 million, was the lowest in the field by a mile. He wasn't just an athletic underdog, he was a financial one too. So, how did he pull it off? Well, his opponent, Carter Bryant, missed a dunk, leaving the door wide open. And Johnson didn't just walk through it, he kicked it down. The approach: he starts his run from behind the judges' table, building up this insane head of steam. The takeoff: a perfect, powerful leap right from the free throw line. And the finish? Oh, the finish was a spectacular, violent, one-handed windmill that just shut the whole thing down. It was pure power. But that power, that drive, it doesn't just come from nowhere. And that's the real heart of his story, which takes us right to Section 2, a promise made in Oakland. This is about the tragedy that forged this champion's resolve. Keshad Johnson is Oakland through and through. He calls the city his heart, the place that gave him what he calls his grit. It's a city with a unique culture, a certain swag, as he puts it, and it shaped him from the very beginning. But that city also has a really harsh side. And in 2011, its reality hit his family in the most devastating way imaginable. Keshad was just 10 years old. His older brother, Kenny, who was 14 and a great basketball player in his own right, was walking home. And in a completely senseless act of mistaken identity, he was shot 10 times. Miraculously, Kenny survived, but he was left permanently paralyzed. His own dreams of playing basketball, just gone in an instant. The weight of that day, it just never really goes away. His brother Kenny later said, "Today, I still deal with the daily thoughts of waking up and thinking about what my life could have been like if this didn't happen. It's just heartbreaking." And right there, at just 10 years old, Keshad Johnson made a vow. See, everyone in the family thought Kenny was the one who was going to take sports all the way. When that dream was stolen from him, Keshad put the entire weight of it on his own shoulders. He decided he was going to live out that dream for both of them. Now that vow, that promise, it fueled an unbelievable work ethic. But the path to the pros? Oh man, it was anything but easy. This brings us to Section 3, the undrafted grind. His journey from a college standout to the absolute fringes of the NBA. I mean, by every metric, his college career was a huge success. He played at San Diego State and Arizona. He started 107 straight games, super durable, and his teams won, a lot, a record of 119-30. He even became the first person in his entire family to graduate from a four-year college. He did everything you're supposed to do. So you think, okay, this guy's a lock for the draft, right? Nope. On the night of the 2024 NBA draft, he had to face this devastating reality. 58 names were called, and his wasn't one of them. Eventually, he landed a two-way contract with the Miami Heat. And let me tell you, that is a wild lifestyle. It's a deal that splits your time between the big league NBA team and their minor league G League team. It is a constant grind. I mean, one day you're in Miami, flying on luxury planes in a tropical paradise. The very next day, you could be on a bus in Sioux Falls, South Dakota in the freezing cold. It's a chaotic shuttle between two completely different worlds. But if there was ever a perfect place for a grinder like Keshad to land, it was Miami. The Heat are famous for this thing called heat culture. It's their whole philosophy. They find these overlooked, undrafted guys who have an insane work ethic, and they just develop them into absolute diamonds. For a player like Keshad, it was the perfect fit to prove everybody wrong. So let's circle back to that night, back to that dunk contest. Because his victory wasn't just symbolic, it was tangible, it was real. This is Section 4, the $105,000 dunk, where we break down the real-world impact of a single night's work. Okay, so Johnson was on a minimum contract. For this season, his base salary was just under $2 million. $1,955,377 to be exact. And for winning the slam dunk contest, well, the NBA gives you a nice little cash prize, and that prize is $105,000. Now, I know $105,000 might sound like chump change compared to a superstar salary, but you have to put it in perspective. For a player on a minimum deal, that money isn't just a bonus. It is a significant, meaningful boost to his entire annual salary. It shows you the huge economic gap that exists even within the NBA. That one night was truly life-altering money for him. And you know, that prize, that trophy, that moment in the air, it wasn't a fluke. The explosive power he needed for that dunk wasn't built in some fancy NBA practice facility. No way. It was built years ago on the steep, punishing hills of Oakland, where he used to do sprints wearing a weighted vest. This victory was earned over a lifetime of that grind. So what happens now? After a moment like that, where do you go from here? That brings us to our final section, Showtime's next chapter. Let's look at what the future could hold after this incredible moment in the spotlight. And his timing could not be more perfect. At the end of this season, in the summer of 2026, he becomes what's called a restricted free agent. So what does that mean? It means other teams can offer him a new contract, a bigger contract, but his current team, the Miami Heat, gets the final say. They have the right to match any offer on the table and keep him. That dunk contest win just made him a much, much more valuable player heading into those negotiations. Which really brings us to the ultimate question, right? He used his moment to inspire kids. He fulfilled a deeply personal promise to his brother. He put the entire league on notice. But as he heads into the most important offseason of his life, we're all left to wonder. A dunk can create a moment, but can it build a career?